Pricing is really about putting in place the kind of incentives you want to use to motivate everybody to do the right thing. And if you are a company that works in a very competitive industry, and if you are looking for organic growth in the marketplace, and indeed that if you just want to increase your profitability and revenues, definitely that you want to go through a program like this. There are many ways for a firm to increase their profitability. You can work on the cost, you can work on the sales, and you can work on many other things. Okay, it turned out, in fact, that price is the most effective profit driver. If you can find some way to improve your pricing by, let's suppose, 1%, and your company's profitability can increase by probably 8%, 9%, even 10%. Okay, and pricing is a very, very effective profitability driver. For that reason, if you come through the program like this, we will teach you all kind of different ways to find the room to improve your pricing. For instance, we look into value pricing. Value pricing obviously is a great idea out there. You want to set the price based on the value you provide to your customers. But if you want to do that, clearly that number one, you have to identify the value that your product or service is providing to your customers. You also need to identify the value drivers. Why exactly your customers are willing to pay something for the product you put out there in the marketplace. And once you identify those value drivers, you have to be able to quantify those value drivers. Once you quantify those value drivers, you have to come up with a rational pricing structure that will help you to capture part of the value that you put out there in the marketplace. So in this program, we basically go through the whole lanyard and go through all the analysis necessary for you to identify customer value, for you to identify those value drivers, for you to find a good way to capture those value. If you want to set a good price, obviously that you need to analyze your pricing environment. You need to understand your customers. And so when you understand your customers, it's not just the value that the consumers place on your product that matters. It's also the consumer psychology, for instance, that matters. So that's also something that we would actually study in this program. And in addition to that, you can imagine that in different contexts, and your pricing decisions will be very different. For instance, in the distribution channel, when you distribute the product through the brick-and-mortar channels versus the online channels, if you do them together, clearly that you have to put the right incentive in place so that everybody can do the right thing. And so channel pricing is actually also a very, very important topic. In fact, if you look into the firm's pricing, you realize that they rarely use one single number to price all the products. Okay, so typically that you have multiple prices, and you put out there. If you want to set the multiple prices in a rational way, the way that will help you to capture as much value as possible, you clearly need to know the principle behind the design in the pricing structure. That's also something we talk about in the program. And also that you realize in the internet age today, there's so many different possibilities, simply because you can use the big data to get to know your customers better, and you get to understand your customer buying behavior. In that case, you can customize your pricing to individual customers too. And given that possibility, you got to know what to do and to what kind of customers you should price in what way. That's exactly something that we also talk about in the program. For me, it's really exciting to teach executives. The reason is because they really have real issues in pricing, and they come in with a lot of curiosity, with a lot of passion for getting those issues addressed. And so because of that, they're very, very motivated to learn. Not only that, in fact, that as a professor, we really learn a lot from those people, simply because they bring in the real world issues. Indeed, that those issues will keep us grounded, and so they gave us the motivation to do even more research on pricing. For senior executives, definitely will get a lot out of this program. The reason is because when you work for companies, you work on all kind of different profit drivers. And rarely that people spend a lot of time on pricing. But pricing is something that's difficult to learn on your job. The reason is because anytime you make an adjustment on pricing, and the outcome could be drastic. It could be drastically bad, could be drastically good. And so in that sense that you don't want to experiment with your pricing. And so the program like this is really designed for those people who have a lot of responsibility in the companies and for profitability and the revenues. And if you come to a program like this, we will draw on all the best practices in pricing and also the theories that are applicable to your situation, and to give you a sense as to how, in fact, you should set your price. And once you have that, and you would have a lot of confidence to work with pricing as a profit driver.